Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are a new viewer and you like what you see by the end of this video, go ahead and hit the subscription button below. If you are a returning viewer, hey boo hey, I'm happy to have both of you here. We are unpacking The Gifts of Imperfection by Dr. Brené Brown. It is still time where you can buy the book and follow along with me. If you do not want to do that, that is fine. You can take out a pen and paper. The last video is tagged below. All of the information is independent of each other, so you can start the series anywhere that you like, but I do present it so that it builds on top of each other, so it's completely up to you how you navigate through the series, the Wholehearted Living series. Today we are going to be continuing from the video that I posted on Thursday last week. So this one is kind of like closely connected, and hopefully, fingers crossed, what you'll see is that this video is going to be a little shorter because I'm breaking down the next 3 things that she says individually versus giving it to you in one video and just trying to make it, pack it together. So Brené Brown, just jumping right in from the last topic, from the last video, we talked about how she basically, in a nutshell, said people who are resilient, something that she noticed is that they have a spiritual foundation. They also have what she called protective factors. So you have the spiritual foundation, the protective factors, and then there were 5 things that they had in common, which was that they are resourceful and have good problem solving skills. They are more likely to seek help. They hold the belief that they can do something that will help them to manage their feelings and to cope. They have social support available to them. We broke down in detail different types of social support. So if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check that out. And they are connected with others, such as family and friends. So from that, she then goes on to say, from this foundation of spirituality, 3 other significant patterns emerged as being essential to resiliency. The first one is cultivating hope. The second one is practicing critical awareness. The third one is letting go of numbing and taking the edge off of vulnerability, discomfort, and pain. So she goes through each of those 3, and I'm going to do them one at a time because I really want you to just not only we're at a point now in the series where I feel like I've been given a ton of information from the book, and I really want to make sure I'm spacing it out so that you can eat, digest, and also apply. The goal is not to just consume all this information, but to really find opportunities in your life and in the dialogues that you're having with people in your community and with yourself to start putting application into place. That's the overarching goal here, okay? So when it comes to hope, the first one she said was hope. A couple things. The definition to resilience is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. I think it's counterculture to say that you're not a resilient person. I think rarely will you hear someone openly and willingly admit to not being resilient. I've never met someone who's like, no, I'm not really a resilient person. But when you really think about the definition, you have to ask yourself, am I able to recover quickly from difficult situations? And then you have to be honest with yourself and really assess which situations do you recover from quickly and which ones not so much. Because the areas that you don't recover from quickly is where you want to apply this information. If I'm being honest, I feel like when something doesn't have as much weight or importance in my life, I'm super resilient. But when something is tied to a lot of expectations or hope, I'm like, oh, that was an L, right? So let's do one that most of us have in common. Breakups, depending on how invested you were, depending on what you hoped the outcome would be, which hopefully was that you all wouldn't break up, can really pull on if you're resilient or not, and can really show you, what your I'm probably gonna say this word wrong, elasticity is. Like, how fast can you snap back into shape? And this is where we have to apply these different tools and topics that she's talking about, because we want to be a people that's resilient, right? We know that Christ has our best interest at heart, that he's with us during hardship and during joyful times. We have community, we have people, but you really get to see your ability to be resilient when things that are difficult, that you really hold near and dear, kind of like come at you, if that makes sense. So for hope, okay, she says, I always thought of hope as an emotion. How many of us would say they're such a hopeful person? Oh, I'm just so hopeful. I'm just so hopeful, right? And she says, like a warm feeling of optimism and possibility. I was wrong. She said, I was shocked to discover that hope is not an emotion. Okay? Hope is not an emotion. It is a way of thinking or a cognitive process. So if you have a notepad, if you have a piece of pen and paper, I want you to just take note of that. Hope is not an emotion. It is a way of thinking. And I want you to ask yourself, in your thinking, whether it's about your life, whether it's about current difficulties, do you tend to take the stance of being a hopeful thinker? And some of you are probably like, well, I don't know what a hopeful thinker would think, but just assessing how you think. Are you a hopeful person, or are you the type of person that's like, this is going to fail, I'm doomed, this is no good? Like, where on the spectrum does your thoughts go? She says, emotions play a supporting role, but hope really is a thought process made up of what Snyder is a researcher of hope, calls a trilogy. Oh my God, one of those words. Trilogy. Y'all, reading too fast and talking is just too much. She calls a trilogy of goals, pathways, and agencies. In very simple terms, hope happens when, you ready? Hope happens when we, one, have the ability to set realistic goals. So that is being able to profess that I know where I want to go. Number two, we are able to figure out how to achieve these goals, including the ability to stay flexible and develop alternative routes. I think we absolutely undersell and undervalue and overlook having the skill set to have a goal and track it out. I'm going to do a video on that. But we are able to figure out how to achieve those goals, including, so you have a goal, you know how to achieve it, and have the ability to stay flexible and develop alternative routes. So this sounds like I know how to get there, I'm persistent, and I can tolerate disappointment and try again. Number three, we believe in ourselves. That is when hope is like coming into fruition. The next thing she says that really stands out to me is that hope is learned, which tells me that hopelessness can also be learned. So this is where I want you to assess, what was your home life like? What is your friend circle like? Do you have a really hopeful, encouraging space, or are the spaces that you participate in, listen to, talk to, songs we listen to, the household we grew up in, is it a more hopeless mindset? These are things you have to ask yourself. She goes on to say, she found in her research that men and women who self-report as hopeful put considerable value on persistence and hard work. The new cultural belief that everything should be fun, fast, and easy is inconsistent with hopeful thinking. So I love this so much because while I enjoy social media, a secret between you and I is that I really don't spend a lot of time on social media the way most people do. And I don't want to unpack that right now because we'll lose time. But I feel like you will find people who experience, and if this is you, just say ouch. You will find people who experience a lot of hopelessness by way of social media, because social media is encouraging the mindset and planting the seed that your come up should be quickly, that your success should be rapid, that you should be a lot further than you are, that you should have more than you do, that you should be wealthier, that you should be skinnier, that you should be more educated, like just more. Social media plants seeds of discontentment. As much as it exposes us to more, it also plants more seeds of discontentment if you are not looking at it in the right lens. So if you are someone that gets off of social media extremely discouraged, it's probably because you are not operating out of a mindset of hopefulness, and you are falling victim to the culture's teaching, which is counterculture of having a hopeful mindset. I know that's a lot. Rewind it if you have to. She said people who self-report as being hopeful put considerable value on persistence and hard work. I want to tell someone who is building a home, who is building a mansion, who is building an empire, who's building a legacy, that it takes time, persistence, and hard work. Okay? Period. And that a hopeful mindset understands the end goal. They are flexible. Remember, I just said that they have a plan in place, but they are flexible in the event that disappointment occurs, if there's delay, anything like that. Social media says, declare that you're building a house this year and it should be done by December 31st. That creates hopelessness. Okay? She says, we develop a hopeful mindset when we understand that some worthy endeavors will be difficult and time-consuming and not enjoyable all the time. I love that, because we also don't see much. Like, we see accounts that talk about the unenjoyable process, but usually those people are at their end place, right? So we get to see them talk about how it wasn't enjoyable. But really tapping into the reality that some goals, if not all, that are worthy, that require perseverance, time, consistency, sometimes you won't enjoy it. We don't hear that enough. You mean to tell me that the goals that I want, like, okay, I've been working out lately. You mean to tell me that sometimes before I reach my goal, I'm not going to want to work out? That sometimes I'm not going to want to eat the things in my house that I would prefer to order fast food? Yuck. Yes. Sometimes in this journey of you reaching goals or you getting to a place that you want to get to, it's not always going to be enjoyable. Period. And then she also says, if we want to cultivate hopefulness, we have to be willing to be flexible and demonstrate perseverance. Okay, so we just talked about that. But this one also put the icing on the cake for me. She said, tolerance for disappointment, determination, and a belief in self are at the heart of hope. So the reason why I decided to break these up outside of what I've already told you is because I want you to really tread slowly through this and ask yourself, do I have a good tolerance for disappointment? How do I respond to disappointment? You know what I mean? Do I isolate? Do I get really quiet? Do I get discouraged? Does it completely cancel my big picture goals? Do I become shady? Am I argumentative? Am I aggressive? Do I start to attack people? Like, do I really have a tolerance for disappointment? Because people who have tolerance for disappointment are hopeful people. They understand disappointment is going to happen. They make room for it. They plan for it. Tolerance for disappointment, you need determination and a belief in self, because all of those are at the heart of hope. And so, let me see. That's it. We're going to stop right there. That is what just cultivating hope. Those are the things you have to think about. I know, short video. So my closing question is very simple. Do you think from a place of hopefulness? Are you a person that's hopeful about things? Tell me about it in the comments below. Tell me what are some things that has helped you. Tell me about some of your wins and how long it took to get there so other people can read it. Share this video, like and comment. Trust me, I know it feels really weird to be wrapping up so soon, but I want us to just kind of like zero in and then just chew on it. If this is something that you have mastered, so be it. This one won't be for you. We'll go to the next one. That one might be for you, but just chew on it. Am I a hopeful thinker? Do I have the tolerance for disappointment? All right. And do I understand that the things I want, whatever it is, marriage, family, finances, career goals, personal development goals, health goals, do I understand that they take time and they won't always be enjoyable, but do I still take on the mindset that I'm going to do this, I can do this, that I will reach this goal? All right. See you all in the next video. Bye.